You're listening to the Ringer NBA show presented by FanDuel. America's #1 sportsbook is the best place to bet on the NBA because not only does FanDuel have all your favorite player props, but now you can even check out stats and recent performance trends right in the app before you make your picks. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today to get in on the action. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Hello and welcome to Group Chat. I am Justin Verrier, and joining me, Rob Mahoney, Big Waz. We're recording this on Monday, the first day after the end of the regular season. We got a lot to get to today. We're going to do the first annual Chatties. We're going to look at the playoff matchups. We're going to look at the play-in matchups. We're going to talk about some players that actually played in games that we never heard of before. But today, on Monday, as we're recording this at 10 a.m., a bit of a bloody Sunday. This is where a lot of the firings are starting to take place. We saw Bud predictably get fired by the Suns, David Griffin out in New Orleans. Waz, how are you feeling about all of this? Anything that's been surprise to you thus far? We got Chauncey Billups re-signed yesterday on Sunday.
I like that you went woke and called it Bloody Sunday because, in the NFL, this is Black Monday.
Okay.
The day after
I got
the
the
last
day wrong
day of the
and the reference
regular
wrong.
season.
So, yeah.
I don't know that co-opting Bloody Sunday is entirely woke, but it's woke. It's maybe woke adjacent by our standards.
The Irishman has spoken. I think this stuff was expected. When is the last time a Pelicans season went according to plan? I mean, has it ever?
1984?
To be honest,
I think maybe never.
Exactly. And Budenholzer presided over a situation over there where people expected these guys to win something like 51 games, 52 games, and I think quite credibly. And these guys didn't even qualify for the play-in.
Yeah.
That is brutal. Their owner just continues to burn money up, flush it down the toilet, whatever terrible metaphor you want to use for what he's doing financially since purchasing this team. But I don't think we can be truly surprised, not in the way that we were with Taylor Jenkins and Mike Malone anyway.
No. Not surprising in either case, but it is at opposite ends of the spectrum. I think David Griffin has had his shot running the Pelicans, trying to get that team on course, trying to course correct. We still just don't even have a proof of concept if any of their players could even work together because none of them were on the floor consistently enough to make it happen. So a lot of changes are required for the Pelicans, I would say. Mike Budenholzer, first year of what we found out was a 5-year deal. Our guy can just go live in Turks and Caicos, spend $1 million a year on sunscreen, come back in 2029, and he's going to be just fine.
Do you think he's a spray guy or he's still a lotion guy?
That guy, Mike Budenholzer, needs to lather up. He's
whatever
really,
the strongest, highest grade is, he needs that.
Yes,
okay.
He's really got to layer it on pretty thick, but he has all the time in the world to do so now. Never really got a shot with this team, and at the same time, I don't know that you could look at anything that happened in Phoenix this season and say that they were ever better than the sum of their parts, that it ever really clicked in any meaningful way. And I will say, in a Mike Budenholzer exception, just never got their shit together defensively at all year long.
I think we got to look up after the Suns hire their next head coach, whether or not they're paying more to their previous head coaches plus or Devin Booker down the road, because I guess you have to give it to Matt Ishbia. He has been willing to write some checks. Obviously hasn't gotten virtually anything else right in the meantime. Timing of that, probably not a coincidence that the Blazers have brought back Chauncey Billups. He has a relationship with Ishbia dating back to his Detroit days. They're probably going to go in a different direction. Although, I don't know, that job just doesn't seem all that attractive to me at this point, because you assume they're going to trade Kevin Durant. It's going to be Booker plus whatever they get in a trade. So like Booker, Reed, Shepherd, and Nick Richards, like as your big three next year. So they're in a bind. But yes, the David Griffin one, I think the writing was on the wall there. They have drafted well. We have to give them credit for that. Whoever inherits that job next is going to have the option, or going to have the raw resources to put something together here. The one thing I also like that they did is they haven't said that they're going to bring back Willie Green. They're going to hire someone in the front office and then decide on Willie. Because I've seen so many teams. How many times have we been doing this where they leave the coach entrenched and then the new guy comes in, they don't get along? That's basically what happened with Denver, right?
Yep.
And so, but overall, nothing too surprising. I agree with you guys.
Yeah, and with the coaching situation in New Orleans, I've been rewatching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and a lot of times this is a classic foist situation where the coach just literally gets foisted upon the new GM, and there's always like a tension there. Like, you weren't my guy. The guy knows that he's not the GM's guy, and it just breeds this level of difficulty that you just don't want in an ideal situation. And I don't see why not start with a clean slate, and go in a different direction.
I don't know, though, Justin, as you pointed out, the lack of appeal for the Phoenix coaching job and how tough a sell that might be in some sense, other than sign a 5-year deal, you may get fired after one, go home with your big bag of money. That's not a bad pitch. The New Orleans front office job, not great either. Not a job, and I say this with no disrespect to the city of New Orleans, more so the kind of oversight that you get or lack thereof in ownership, the weird intermingling with the Saints staff. Like, you don't have the resources you need. You don't get to pay the luxury tax in the way that other teams do. You don't get to operate like a winning franchise, basically by any definition. And you have to pinch pennies and make ends meet and take radical risks. And then all of a sudden, you end up in this position that David Griffin is in, frankly.
Yeah. All right, let's flip now to Sunday's fallout. So we had game 82 for every team in the NBA. They did 2 shifts as they did, I believe, last year, maybe even before that, where all the East teams go at 10, and then at 12:30 Pacific time, we got all the Western Conference teams in a row. When you guys look back on today's game 82 or yesterday's game 82, what will you remember? I have 6 things down here that jumped out to me. Pat Connaughton, 43, 11, and 5 in an overtime win over Detroit. We had Bub Carrington for the Wizards winning it at the buzzer. Bub also played all 82 games, so shout to him. But unfortunately, his game winner dropped the Wizards to number 2 in the lottery odds. They'll have the same odds as the bottom 3 teams, but of course, number 2 matters after the lottery is picked. The Lakers started Bronny James for the first time. Not only did they start Bronny James, they started Markieff Morris against Portland. I was at that game. It seemed like Markieff was told right before he went on, after he had just gotten up from a nap, that he is still an NBA player because he is not in shape. Let me just tell you that. He even got a technical in that game. So shouts to him for
I saw him up close and
consistency.
personal in Portland. That was not Portland, in Denver. And that was my impression as well. I was like, whoa, this dude, he's got some conditioning drills to do.
Leave Markieff Morris alone. He's doing his job, and his job is not necessarily to play every night.
His job now is Luka's friend, at least for as long as they need him to be that. OKC becoming the 7th team in history and the 4th since the merger to win 68 games. They also, I believe, finished with the best point differential of all time. Houston starts all of its guys against Denver, got absolutely waxed, or the Clippers beating the Warriors in overtime in a win or go to a home play-in matchup game, the likes of which we haven't really seen. We got Denver, I believe, Minnesota in that little pre-play-in game a couple years ago before the play-in had actually been instituted. But this was something. That's my choice. What do you guys have?
I think it's got to be that one. We got a playoff game before the play-in even starts. What could be more exciting than that on the last day of the regular season?
Yeah, and that for me was incredible to see because it's playoff stakes, and I think the 2 biggest question marks for me when it comes to the Clippers is Kawhi Leonard's health and James Harden's ability to play like an all-star, like a Hall of Famer in a game that actually matters over the course of a series that actually matters. And Kawhi, first of all, I mean, he looks as quick as he's looked in years. I mean, the stuff that he was doing with his handle and his dribble and creating separation. Bob Myers was literally, the guy was creaming his pants yesterday during the course of that game, describing watching Kawhi Leonard. He was just blown away. Literally, running out of adjectives to describe what he was seeing from Kawhi, which I thought was pretty incredible. And Harden dropped 39, was finishing the floater was unstoppable yesterday. 5 of 8 from 3, had the step back working. Guys were basically draped all over him for those shots, and he made them in big spots. Anytime Zub was open for a lob or a dump off. Harden was just laying it on him. Like, those guys played like superstars yesterday. And if those two guys play like superstars, that changes the entire equation for the Los Angeles Clippers. I've just never seen these guys do this,
Yeah.
in the last 4 years. And so that's what stuck out for me is like the way those guys played in a huge spot yesterday.
They look great. I think the Clipper offense overall, as you alluded to, was not only in terms of historical record for someone like James Harden, throughout even the better part of this season, they go real cold for some stretches. Yeah. And so this was a good encapsulation, I think, of the Clipper experience, where there were some real lulls and there were some incredible star-driven highs that not a lot of teams can replicate. And frankly, with the pressure that the Clippers defense puts on opposing teams, you almost need god-tier shot making to beat this group. Like, you need someone like Steph, someone like Luka, someone like Shea, someone like playoff considering Nikola Jokic, right? Like, that's the kind of shot making talent you need to overcome the perimeter help, the level of depth and length that they have inside. Like, they're just so tough to score on. And so, yeah, when Kawhi and James Harden and Zoo are also delivering offensively and putting a different kind of pressure on you, they look really formidable right now. I just have a hard time kind of calibrating what to expect of their half-court playoff offense when we know that that's a reality for them.
So the Warriors were here on Friday in Portland, a game there where they waxed kind of the C unit for the Trailblazers. And the one thing that jumped out to me about the Warriors was how small they are in their base set. The fact that they're starting with Draymond and Jimmy basically at the 4-5, which I think plays to the advantages of Steph and Jimmy in particular, because he's able to manufacture a lot of stuff with the court spread out. Just watching him operate and basically get what he wants whenever he wants is a credit to just not only him, but I do think it is almost highlighted in their lineup that they're kind of leaning on at this point, because they really don't have much size outside of Looney. Draymond obviously can play the 5 whenever he wants to, but then it's like quit and post pretty quickly. I thought they looked particularly small at times against the Clippers, who made a point to leave Zoo on the court for all the important possessions and into overtime. And I think that's something that I've been considering as we're going into the playoffs, because not only do the Warriors want to play small, the Lakers obviously have found something kind of special with their small ball unit. And I'm looking at the terrain. I'm like, is there any big team that's really going to cause some of those teams trouble? Obviously, Denver, first and foremost, would be there. But I think the Clippers are kind of climbing up the standings of the team you don't want to see if you want to be small, because Zoo was a monster in this game. He had 17 rebounds. The Warriors starting lineup had 14. He also did not have a single personal foul this entire game. So not only is he one of our all defensive sorts of guys, easily. I think he's even getting love for Defensive Player of the Year. He's staying on the court as long as you need him to, which is obviously going to be huge in some of these crucial playoff games.
And the number of plays that he's a part of that just you have no shot if you're a Draymond Green size defender. If you're a small ball 5, the catch and finishing around the rim, the offensive rebounds for putbacks, like those are possessions that Draymond Green isn't touching. And frankly, I thought, as is often the case with the Warriors, they got away with a lot of physicality with Zoo that in a different game could have been called for free throws, sending him to the line. So he's going to be a problem for a lot of teams. And I think overall their size, which is not just Zoo, but extrapolating to the strength you get from someone like Kawhi, the strength you get from someone like James Harden. The Clippers are a physically imposing team, and they're going to sit Chris Dunn on you, and they're going to sit Derrick Jones Jr. on you. I just think they're a tough matchup for a lot of these teams in the field right now.
Yeah, and as much as Jimmy's made Golden State into a free throw dynamo, it's not as if he's attacking the other team's big man all the time. It's like you guys said, the court is spread. The guy who's guarding him is always somehow at a disadvantage when Jimmy gets to the paint and he's drawing fouls on his own man. Yep. Now, when he saw Zubac down there yesterday, he's like, maybe I'll kick this back out. And
now Bogey, on the other hand, his eyes got real big.
Oh my goodness, that was mean what he did to Bogey at that one point. It was like 4 straight possessions where he either got a foul or a dunk. And Zubac is definitely he's turned a corner in terms of his impact defensively, and Harden being just one of the best playmakers in the NBA for 13 years now straight, just constantly finding this guy and looking for him. I thought the offensive boards was where I noticed it the most, where it's like, all right, even when you do get a string together a good defensive possession, you're just getting mauled and manhandled by a guy that's like it's not even close to size disparity between him and Draymond. And yo, let's face it, Looney is an undersized center too.
That's true.
Like he doesn't have he's like got some core strength and like he's harder to move, but he's way smaller than Zubac. So yeah, that was a pretty glaring kind of mismatch there for Golden State yesterday.
We've talked about it throughout this season, but I almost feel like it has gone slightly underrated, trading Paul George essentially for a bunch of other guys who are just helpful in a lot of regards. Chris Dunn has been a crucial part of this team. Derrick Jones Jr., who had started at times before Kawhi Leonard came back, has just been so essential to this team. Like, he has like a miracle dunk every so often, but he's also another perimeter defender you could throw on guys. And so the Clippers all of a sudden look deep and versatile in the way I think you want to be going into the playoffs, because obviously OKC has a lot of answers to any sort of lineup. The fact that they could be big at their base set and not necessarily have to go small, just because Hartenstein and I think Chet are able to play that way too. But they can, if they need to go smaller and get a bunch of small guys out there in order to swipe and everything like that, they can do that. Other than OKC, I can't think of another team that can play many different ways. I'm starting to think about the Clippers as a team that's not only big and perhaps has an advantage in that regard. I also see them as a team that could maybe manipulate some of the lineups in order to size down if they needed to. There's like different looks that they could throw out there. And I think the big question ultimately is just like, does Kawhi have the juice? Does Jim Harden, can you trust him in a big situation? But in terms of like on paper, they have everything I like going into multiple different matchups.
And they even are missing a couple of options too. Like Nick Batum didn't play in this game. He's been out with injury for a couple. May not seem like a huge deal, but when the Clipper offense gums up because the Warriors are running zone and the Clippers have Ben Simmons on the floor, all of a sudden you think, oh, what if those are 10 Nick Batum minutes? What if the Amir Coffey minutes, which I love Amir Coffey, were a train wreck in this game? What if those are Nick Batum minutes? Now all of a sudden some of those things start to turn, and you're right. Like, They can play big, they can play small, and within playing small, they can go in so many different directions, right? Like, worst case scenario, you could put Kawhi Leonard not just in the mid-range working from the top of the floor, you could put him on the low block like he's Ivica Zubac against other small ball teams and make hay with that if you really wanted to. Like, they have so many different entry points for what they're trying to do.
Do you trust a team, though, ultimately, that's led by Harden and Leonard? Harden was spectacular in this game, but at times I was watching Kawhi as like he's a killer, and he has been for 2-3 months at this point, but looking a little rigor mortis, especially when he was getting pressure from some defenders out past the three-point arc.
I mean, I think the Clippers are going to be, like, very competitive. Like, they're just playing their best basketball. They're peaking at the right time, right? It's just, for me, I think the offense is just leaves a lot to be desired, especially when you consider against a Denver, they're going to have to play Jones Jr. and Dunn. Like, they're going to need the defense.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to just say, you know what, let's go offense first in our approach against Denver. That's not an option. And I think that because of that, Denver now has places to hide to come up with the shortcomings, come up big for the shortcomings of a guy like Jokic and a guy like Murray, because they can send extra help off of. And Chris Dunn splashed a bunch of threes yesterday. God bless him. Maybe
might not happen again, but yeah.
Maybe he'll do that in the playoffs. But the same with Jones Jr. Like, there were times against, say, OKC where he made big shots, but you can see against Boston in the playoffs last year, they completely ignored the guy. So that's where I think they're going to run into a little bit of trouble. But, if you would have asked me about this, say, like 6 weeks ago, like Denver versus the Clippers, I'd have been like, they're going to mop the floor with these guys. But the way the Clippers are playing right now, it's a completely different proposition.
I mean, what you're describing is the modern NBA, though, which is like, which teams' 33% three-point shooters are going to hit in a series?
Yeah.
Or at least hit in enough games that it's going to swing it. And like, if you're going to bet on guys to do that, at least Chris Dunn is going to make Jamal Murray's life a living hell. At least Derrick Jones Jr. is going to chase Michael Porter or Aaron Gordon or whoever you want and give them everything that they can handle on the other end of the court. So at least you're getting enough tangibly from their role players to live and die with some of the possessions they're going to swing their way.
I also think like the Thunder, they do have such an advantage defensively with all these teams that are resting hopes on having the juice in order to overwhelm teams, having the counterbalance, having just not only the offense but the defensive side. I almost wonder is underrated after years and years of our youth talking about how defense wins championships. I don't know if it wins championships, but I do think that sort of balance is unique with the Clippers as opposed to a team like the Lakers, who I think if we were to rank the Western Conference teams, I might still say I'm more afraid of the Lakers just considering the copious amounts of juice that they have with those three ball handlers who are playing better, especially as they get more reps with Rui and Dorian Finney-Smith. But Clippers, goddamn, they're looking good right now.
I just want to trademark right now copious amounts of juice. let's just put that one in the pocket for the playoffs because somebody's going to be showing copious amounts of juice, and I can't wait to talk about it.
They're the Jose Canseco team of the playoffs.
Well, what about the Warriors here? A team who has been gangbusters practically since they made the Jimmy trade. But as I'm watching them, as I'm looking at the particulars, as I'm seeing these nagging little injuries start to creep up, Jimmy had some ankle troubles, Steph dealing with what I believe is like a thumb sprain or something like that.
Well, not only with Jimmy's ankle, but he took that, what I hope was a knee to leg hit from Kawhi Leonard and not a knee to knee hit. It was kind of hard to tell in real time, but it was a full force blow.
It just feels like the margin for error for that team in particular. We can talk about the Lakers later, but them, if one of those guys isn't quite right, as we saw last postseason, if Jimmy's not who he needs to be, it's just it's a lot of pods. It's a lot of hoping that Moses Moody is a core number 5 guy for you.
Yeah, I think the problem for the Warriors, in so much as it is one, they're a high execution team. They have to execute at a precise high level in order to be effective. Lucky for them, they have the personnel to do so. They benched Jonathan Kuminga, thank God. They have the guys that can execute at a high level, but once anything goes off, man, it just doesn't look as precise. And, I think I'm not the only one that thinks they could do just fine against Memphis in the play-in matchup. And everybody's wanted Houston. Nobody's picking Houston to go to a conference finals. Nobody thinks Houston is the second best team in the West. Although I think that's a tough matchup for Golden State because Houston can present a lot of size.
Yep.
Just a lot of youth and ability to guard guys out on the floor, switchable defenders, the kind of things that you have to do against Golden State. You have to have the know-how. When Steph sets a screen for Buddy Hield, don't try to go over. Just switch that screen because you'll die if you don't. And so, they got great coaching. I think that's going to be a fun matchup. But I see Golden State dispatching with Memphis, who, I don't even know what to make of that team anymore. And having a knock 'em out, drag 'em out series with Houston.
I also suspect they will beat Memphis. But if they don't beat Memphis, if they don't make it out of the play-in, the Warriors are playing for their lives. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Or if they make it into a first-round series that turns out, let's say the Rockets matchup, I think is kind of a tough matchup for them. I think that will be tricky. I agree with you that if you're picking and choosing, there are a lot of teams in the West that would look at the Rockets and say, okay, we want that relatively inexperienced team to play against. If you're Golden State, do you really want, if you're trying to make a long run, Draymond Green to be battling that much size this early?
Yeah.
Steph Curry to be chased by Amen Thompson for an entire series. Everything that they, and not just Amen, but Tari Eason's going to be out there. Fred VanVleet can still give chase to Steph in some of these games. They just have a lot of bodies to throw at the guys that you do not want to wear down this early. And that's assuming you get to that series. But if they don't, or they lose it, I don't want to just have it be lost to time that Draymond Green absolutely smoked a critical crunch time layup in this game against the Clippers that would have dramatically changed the seedings of basically the entire Western Conference. That felt like a huge moment that could potentially really bite the Warriors.
I mean, Draymond also had the neck injury where he had to leave early on.
That was really scary.
That was nasty, yeah.
I think that is what was laid bare in this game. I think you could convince yourself that the Warriors could play spoiler, perhaps even in the first round as recently as a week ago, because they do have that top end talent. I think that can swing things. But I think you forget that they made the Jimmy trade in no small part in order to save their season. It has been absolutely miraculous since, but this was a team on the razor's edge of potentially falling past the play into the lottery. And so that is the seams are starting to show. a little bit more for this team.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to think of them more as like an also-ran, like, oh, maybe they'll give the Rockets a firm push. I personally would love it if they ended up playing the Thunder, because I think that's just the type of electric matchup you want to see. You want to see the Thunder kind of almost overcome the old guard in order to take the next step and potentially on their route to the finals. But for me, the Warriors are just looking a little creaky at a time where it's you really don't want to see that.
I don't disagree with you. I just think you can do that with every team in the West that is not the Thunder. And we have. Like, we've talked about that with the Nuggets. We talked about that with the
How
Lakers
many
at their
teams
level.
have we said is the second best team in this damn
I know.
conference this year? 8?
I even took a pass at the Grizzlies at one point in time. Like, that's
Me
how long
too.
the season has been.
I do think there is an Occam's razor thing with the West where it's like, oh, we could find these little nitpicks with the Thunder, this historically good regular season team. But when we're like, hey, is Jimmy Butler going to play an entire playoff series? It's a real mountain to molehill sort of situation.
Yeah.
And I think you guys would probably all agree the Thunder are most likely going to make it to the finals this year.
They look great. They've been dominant. I fully expect it.
All right. Do you guys want to look at the matchups first, the first round matchups, or you want to do the play-in preview?
Let's do the play-in. We're gonna get to skip ahead later this week. I assume we're gonna do, Justin, our full-on playoff variables. Are we not?
You're goddamn right we are. I still need to find the track that meets this moment in
I
time,
can't wait to see
but,
what genre it is this year. But so we're gonna get into the full in-depth playoff preview to come. But I don't want to zoom past these play-in games, even though frankly at least one of them deserves to be zoomed past.
Yes, well, we'll talk about the East. Why don't we table that for now, just because we're talking about the West. But Warriors, Grizzlies up first and foremost with the West. That's a 7-8 matchup. And then the Kings and Mavericks. Waz, are you excited to see some Kings basketball?
No, I'm not. Just the bottom of both conferences are kind of the drags. I mean, the Mavericks, guys have finally come back online here. But it's still just a shell of what we expected to see, even after the Luka trade, which, everybody had their opinions about. Sacramento's been basically a mediocre team. Not a bad team. Nowhere near the threshold of what you would call good. Just a mediocre team. It's just a battle of mediocrity. If either one of these teams were able to claw their way into the 8th seed against Memphis or Golden State, I would be completely shocked, especially in a do-or-die situation. It's hard for me to see this happening.
Wouldn't it be, though, a perfect encapsulation of the Memphis Grizzlies?
Oh, my God.
Just absolute mudslide of the back part of the season if they somehow let the Kings into this thing. There's a part of my brain that's like, that's not off the table.
I don't know if you guys have heard, but it sounds like Vlade might be back in the mix with the Kings.
Is that
Of course.
Been hearing a little buzz about that lately.
Was he ever out is the question, or was he just like hanging around the building, sending like covert messages through pipes in the walls? I don't know.
He's the Isaiah Thomas of the Sacramento Kings, clearly.
Yeah. Shout
the
out to
Jeremy
him.
Lamb to Vlade connection is like LeBron passing the torch to Luka Doncic.
Sure.
But you guys it sounds like you're saying you're writing off the Mavs.
I am writing off the map.
I am. The Mavs are written off. They have no offense. There's no offense to speak of. As much as I love AD, he's been one of my, when AD is right, he's one of my favorite players to watch.
He's great.
Just his versatility, just his IQ. He's just a great player. He can't carry nobody's offense. That's not a thing. He needs to be set up. And there is not a setup man to be found on this team.
Not even set up, but just someone to dribble, to hit a shot off a kick out, to vaguely space the floor in a way that would be conducive to him getting the ball, I think would be a great starting point. But yeah.
And he's playing power forward.
That too. You can't play this big with this few guards. You can't do it. So I really don't see it working. And I think the Kings, based on even the kind of mediocre standard that you described, are better than that.
I don't know. Dante Exum back. Brandon
I
Williams
mean-
off of a two-way. Max Christie Renaissance. I'll say this. I don't think the Kings are that much better than even this diminished version of the Mavericks. So if the Mavericks win that game, I would not be surprised. I think what we're all kind of saying here is we would be shocked if it wasn't Warriors probably going into that 2-8 and then the Grizzlies. Like the Grizzlies, despite all of their flaws, still have a shitload of talent, and they are still 8 games up on the Sacramento Kings.
The Memphis Grizzlies should be way too good to be eliminated in the play-in. Will they in fact, still get eliminated anyway? I honestly don't know, but they should be way too good for it.
They got that Finnish sauce now, you know?
Sure.
In the East, we have Magic and Hawks. That's the 7-8. And Bulls Heat for the third year in a row
Unreal.
in a play-in matchup. Bulls versus Heat. I don't care is my answer. This is just so awful.
I did see, courtesy of Dan Feldman, that the Magic are the first team to win their division without a winning record since the NBA-ABA merger.
Oh, the Southeast is such trash.
All that said, I would like to watch Magic Celtics. That's a series I would enjoy watching.
Sure.
Like, if
It'll
you're gonna
be
give me,
they're going to average 82 points a game, the Magic are, but I'd like to see it. It'd definitely give the Celtics an opportunity to warm up, for sure.
more so than the Hawks, who I
Oh
don't
my
even think
God.
you don't even need a stretch if you're the
Wipe
Celtics
the
to beat
floor
the Hawks.
with those kids.
It just wouldn't work out for anybody. Now, honestly though, I think the worst outcome for anyone out of this Eastern Conference play-in race
Is
if
Miami getting in?
no, it's the Bulls. It's the Bulls getting in.
The worst case?
And I say that, look, for us, watching the Bulls yet again, as we've enjoyed and we've talked about, that part wouldn't be so bad. Does this Bulls leadership group need more bullshit confirmation of their strategy that will not work long term with a
man.
fake playoff appearance and a summary first round exit? Is that really what we want to give them, or what the basketball
don't
gods
like
should
fun.
want to give them?
Okay, you just don't like joy in your life because the Bulls have provided all of us, not just me, with a lot over the past 2 months.
I
All
would
right?
like Bulls fans to have something to hang on to
Oh,
at some point in the
God.
next 20 years. And I'm not so sure we're on that timeline right now.
Start rearing Bazelis in those playoff minutes, man. He's going to get him eventually. Might as well cut his teeth now.
Look, I would like that better than I would
God.
like Davion Mitchell trying to break down playoff defenses, right? Like, I want to see Bazelis in the playoffs. Do I need to see Josh Giddey being left again by defenders in the playoffs? I don't know, but I guess we can take another crack at it and see what happens.
He's been hitting shots for at least half a season, okay?
They always do in the half of the season, Justin. That's what happens.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat make it in. Just they work their dark arts bullshit.
I mean, with this
Making it plan
group
the
that
right
they're
way.
going up against, why should we feel like it's impossible? There's not an impossible matchup in the bunch. So
The Hawks are hobbled. They don't have like 2 or 3 of their best players. Trae Young, I believe, finished the season under 40% shooting on the year.
Tough.
The Bulls, young, inexperienced. But I think the key here is that the Magic, I think they can make it hard just because Paolo does seem like he has the zest back in some of his offensive game. He can make it hard on the Celtics in a way that might compound things and make it difficult for them in round 2 and round 3 eventually.
Yeah. I think
hard
the
on the
Magic,
Celtics.
for some games at least.
They're big boys at the very least.
That's
They're
what their
big.
defense does, you know?
But they cannot shoot.
No,
They
they
cannot
can't
shoot.
shoot. But they are
they don't have
built,
thugs.
defensively speaking, to handle it or to
Yeah,
at least
yeah,
challenge
yeah,
and
for
push
sure,
a team like
for
Boston.
sure.
So for that reason alone, I do think they're going to get in. I hope that they get in. I honestly think the Bulls are going to get the other spot. Like, I just think that's what is destined to happen, and I just want to apologize to everyone who follows.
And they're
going to
be like, look, we made the playoffs this year. Blah, blah, blah.
Just more affirmation that they can interpret to mean whatever the hell they want it to mean.
Their draft status is set no matter what, man. You might as well play for glory, you know?
Play for glory.
Kobe White's been fun. That's a fun-ass team, though. Like
They are fun.
As opposed to, like, the Kings getting absolutely waxed by the Thunder.
Yeah.
Like, I would watch a game or 2 of a Bulls-Cavs series if I didn't, because based on professional obligation, I'm going to watch all of them, unfortunately. But, like,
Yeah.
as a fan, I would plug into that willingly.
I get that.
Okay.
All right, rest of the matchups here. So in the East, Cavs, Celtics are the 1-2, and they await their inevitable opponent. We have Knicks, Pistons, pretty fucking sick, and
Yep.
Pacers, Bucks. Yet again, a rematch of last year's. What was it, 3-6, I believe. Which of those 2 matchups, Waz, are you looking forward to?
I mean, it's definitely the Knicks and Detroit. I think a lot of people are like super down on the Knicks because of the way the season kind of ended with the Brunson injury and all of this stuff. And people are just, they're just higher on a team that's on the rise in Detroit. I think the Knicks will ultimately win that series. I think Detroit is just so offensively challenged that even the Knicks' horrific defense will be able to handle it, but it's not going to be your typical 3-6 where you expect it to go 5 games, 6 to max. I think they're going to have a dogfight on their hands. But I think the Knicks will ultimately prevail in there. But that to me is my favorite Eastern Conference series for sure.
Yeah, there's offensively challenged, and then there's offensively challenged against the Knicks. And the Pistons present a very specific problem, which is a giant playmaker running a fuck ton of pick and roll, which is exactly the kind of thing that the Knicks really, really, really cannot handle. And we've seen it every time Cade goes to play the Knicks, puts up huge numbers, has a monster impact on the game. I think this is a really, really fun matchup too. Ultimately, yeah, I agree that the Knicks are probably a little too good, but this will be really, really close and more than the Knicks would want this early out of the gate. But at the same time, maybe something to actually bring this team together in a way that they just haven't had an opportunity to do all season. Like, make them overcome something by pulling together. That's a good way for a Knicks run to start.
How many ejections in that series are we expecting? Is the over-under like
for
2.5?
Beef Stew alone, or are we talking teams?
I mean,
No,
Bickerstaff's
whole team.
definitely getting thrown out of a game
yeah, I
at
can see
some
that one.
point, for sure.
Might take the over. But I think you guys are right. I think that series for the Knicks is more about survival. It's about keeping the games limited, taking care of the Pistons early, because if they're going to have any sort of shot against the Celtics, they need to be whole, and they haven't been that way for a little while here. Jalen Brunson's still kind of working his way back in. I hope we get a fully engaged, fully operational Knicks team, because that offense is sick and could make things happen. I don't think it will happen in this postseason, but, weirder things have happened. The Pacers made the Eastern Conference Finals.
By the way,
last year.
Mikal Bridges back to being a freaking turnstile on defense. It's so pathetic to watch this guy try to guard on the like everybody just dribbles past him.
What a strange season
It's just
he's
a
had.
layup line against this kid. It's crazy to watch.
Yeah. So in the West, Thunder Rockets are your 1-2. Then you have Lakers at 3 facing the Timberwolves at 6.
That's spicy.
Great series.
Nuggets and Clippers. Rob, you like the Lakers series?
I love that one. I mean, so the other night at Luka Doncic's return game, he was asked like what part of the sentimental video that the Mavericks played him in tribute was his favorite, and he was like, "Oh, it's got to be
Gobert.
the shot over Rudy Gobert in the Western Conference Finals." So seeing Luka versus
told him
Wolves,
to fuck off in Slovenian, like he just like murdered my father, and I got vengeance.
frankly, as is his right in that moment. You hit that shot, you can tell whoever you want to fuck off. And so we get Luka versus the Wolves all over again, plus a legit real test for this Lakers team right out of the gate. That's a lot of good juice, copious amounts of juice, dare I say, in that matchup.
Gallons. Waz, what do you like?
Yeah, definitely Lakers Wolves, but as we said with the Nuggets and Clippers, I think the Clippers, again, playing like the number 2 team in the West, especially over the last 17 games. Plus, by the numbers, Zubac is actually the best one-on-one Nikola Jokic defender in the world. Not that he's a Jokic stopper. We're not going to get stupid and crazy here. But Zubac has made himself into just a straight-up stout one-on-one post defender. There's no two ways about it. And so I just love that individual matchup with the Balkan boys. And I'm excited to watch that as well. But definitely Lakers, there's just so much star power and wattage in that Lakers Timberwolves series. So that'll be super fun.
How are we feeling about the Nuggets going into the postseason? Is there any hope left?
I mean, you fire your coach with 3 games left. There's got to be a freaking cap on the amount of positivity. Look, they won their last 3 games, handled their business against Memphis, blew out the Rockets yesterday. They handled their business, but again, you fired your coach 3 games before the playoffs are supposed to start. It's hard to be super optimistic about this, but all the reports coming out of it is Adelman is takes a way different approach in his temperament in how he decides to run things. Guys seem to be responding right now. They even tried on defense the last 3 games, which is nice to see. So maybe there's something to take. I just don't know how a guy comes in at this point.
Yeah.
And in a key matchup, key games, a game 5, 2-2 series, and you need to make halftime adjustments. Do we think Adelman is going to be doing? Do we think that?
I like David Adelman as a coach. I think he was worth a look, if not for the Nuggets, for somebody in the near future for a head coaching job. He can't fix what is broken with this team, which is that they don't have, frankly, enough playoff bodies, and they just are not good enough defensively. And so can they get 15% better defensively from where they were a couple weeks ago. I think that's within their power to do. I think, frankly, just playing your best players' playoff minutes will address some of that stuff. Like getting Aaron Gordon out on the floor for a playoff-length amount of time, Christian Brown on the floor for as many minutes as he can handle, that stuff will help you. Overall, I just don't think of them that differently than we've been talking about them for the last couple weeks, which is they feel maybe a little too fundamentally flawed to be an actual, like, honest-to-goodness contender. But given this Western Conference landscape, that still might not stop them from getting to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Lakers and Clippers back in the mix, baby.
Well, that will not be the last mention of that on this podcast.
That's true. The Ringer NBA show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA play-in tournament gives some teams one last shot at making the playoffs, but FanDuel is giving all new customers a shot at $250 in bonus bets. Join FanDuel today. You'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same game parlay for a chance to win big. So we're looking at the play-in tournament. First go of these games. I hate to do this, but I don't know if I like the Bulls in this Bulls-Heat matchup. The Heat know what they're doing in these play-in matchups. I know the offense has looked absolutely rough the past couple games, months, weeks, practically since the Jimmy Butler trade. So I still like Heat +1 in a one-game playoff scenario. Eric Spoelstra knows what he's doing in those situations. So give me the Heat, even though they are on the road in Chicago against the spunky Bulls team, who I love, but unfortunately might not be all that serious. So Miami Heat +1 in the first play-in game. Just visit FanDuel.com/RingerNBA to get in on all the NBA play-in tournament action. That's FanDuel.com/RingerNBA for your shot at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. All right, before we pivot to the Chatties, the first annual Chatties, we have something that I did at the very least last year, maybe even the year before, our Game 82 staple. It is Who He Tanked For, where I asked you guys which of these guys that I'm mentioning actually played in NBA games, or are these guys that actually I just made up or potentially stole from some other part of life. So I'm going to give you a name. You have to tell me whether or not this person played in an NBA game yesterday on Sunday, Game 82.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Number 1, Daquan Plowden.
That sounds like two people's names combined.
There's
like
no
there's a Daquan
way
and there's a Plowden,
Justin
but not a Daquan
invented
Plowden.
a guy named Daquan, so I'm going to assume that this guy actually played in an NBA game yesterday.
I'm going to vote no.
Waz is right.
Damn it.
He played he played 31 minutes and scored 17 points for the Hawks in their triumphant victory over the Orlando Magic yesterday.
Shout out to Daquan Plowden. I apologize.
Daquan Plowden. Hell of a name.
Daquan Plowden.
Oh, Plowden, not Clouden.
Yes. He has a future of being a snowplowman in his future.
He does not. He lives in Atlanta.
All right. Ray J. Dennis. Ray J. Dennis.
Can we get a spelling on Ray J?
Yeah.
Ray J is spelled capital R-A-Y, no space, capital J.
No, absolutely not.
Ray J. No dash. This isn't like the rapper.
Listen, I could see a Negro naming their kid this. I really could. And so this is a real name, Ray J. Dennis. It's a real name.
Waz is correct.
Yeah.
He played 29 minutes in a 2 overtime win over the Cavs for the Pacers. He scored 13 points in that game. Ray J.
I just Googled Daquan Plowden. Went to Bowling Green University.
Of course he
That's
did.
right.
Undrafted, 2022. Yeah, just a big G League guy, two-way guy. I've never seen this man a day in my life, ever. Never heard of him, never seen him.
We need to watch more Hawks basketball, apparently.
He's no Leaky Black, but we'll remember him for this reason. Dennis Whitaker.
Dennis Whitaker.
That's a name
Dennis
that JV could make up.
Here's the thing, do you think from a gamesmanship perspective, he's trying to get us to toggle back and forth? Do you think these guys are going to be real?
I just know JV don't got the heart to come up with Ray J and actually come up with a spelling for that. Once he had to come up with the spelling, he would be like, all right, you know what? Let me move on from this. But Dennis Whitaker is pretty easy.
I'm going to say no.
This is a created player.
I'm saying no.
One of your recruits in NCAA, like when you're in like 2047.
Yep.
So he is not a real person, but I did not come up with him. Dennis Whitaker is the young doctor on The Pit.
That guy's name is Dennis?
Apparently.
Okay, see, I only know him as Whitaker or Huckleberry, but apparently he doesn't strike me as a Dennis.
That was sleeping upstairs. Copy.
Yep. Spoiler alerts for the last time.
I mean, it's fine.
Of The Pit.
Hey, he could have been doing all kinds of things up there with a reason why he's sleeping. We didn't say why he was sleeping up there.
There you go. All right. You know this guy. His name is Marjan Beauchamp.
Yes.
But the questions are, one, did he play yesterday? And if so, for what team?
I don't think he played. He was on, whose bench was he on? I seen him in street clothes.
He was in that Wizards trade, no?
Who's to say?
Was he in the Wizards trade? I think he
was. Is he on the Clippers bench?
No, I don't think he's in the Clippers bench.
Who did I see? What game was I watching?
Wait, so we're guessing what team he played for? Marjan Beauchamp?
Did he play?
Did he play, and what team was it for?
What team was he on?
I'm going to say he did play because he did get picked up by somebody. I'm just blanking on who it is. It was a cut and release situation.
Okay, I'll give it to you guys. He did play, and it was for the New York Knickerbockers. He played
the Knicks.
5 minutes.
He was not okay. So he was in street clothes for that Knicks. Who did they lose to on Friday or whatever it was?
Oh, you know what? He was in the Kevin Porter Jr. trade. That's what it was.
Yeah.
He was sent to the Clippers, then cut, then signed by the Knicks.
But I was like, wait, this dude is on what? Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, a couple more here. David Bettenberg.
No.
Not a real guy?
I mean, it might be a real guy, but I don't think David Bettenberg is an NBA player.
That's an NBA player. Bettenberg. JV's not that creative. You ever read a book or watch a TV show where they just come up with the sickest names? Like, that's actually a skill. JV ain't got that. He ain't coming up with Bettenberg.
Wow.
No way.
Was unfortunately clocked that correctly, but he's not an NBA player, but he was a contestant on the most recent season of Love is Blind in Minnesota. He obviously, his sister forced him to break up with Lauren, and despite the fact that he had real feelings for Lauren, he didn't realize it until after the fact that a guy from Minnesota was saying that he had slept with her right before she went on, but that guy was lying the whole time. Yeah.
So Lauren could have been a Bettenberg, but it blew up.
She could have been. Yeah, that's right. I also
JV
think that this is partly why Minnesota's season didn't start well. I do think there was a Love is Blind curse that happened that they had to then break.
I just want to know, JV, you're watching Love is Blind at the crib by yourself?
100%. Yeah.
Oh, my God. That is...
Why so judgmental, Waz?
I've never... No, you know
live.
what? That's a lie. I definitely watched For the Love of Ray J.
Oh, sure.
And the Flavor Flav joint.
What about the
Those are a little
Tila Tequila show? Did you watch that one?
Tila Tequila, I don't think I watched Tila Tequila. But Ray J and Flavor Flav I watched voluntarily. I've never watched a reality dating show on my own before or since that. I've watched them. Because I was forced to, but definitely not. Oh, he popped this on.
At gunpoint? What are you talking about?
Well,
I did get into it, I think, originally when I was seeing someone. And I got roped into
and then
the
you just
classic
kept
guy
going. You just
thing,
kept it going. Got you.
And I'm still there. It's good programming. What can I say? Let me do two more just quickly. Joel Miller.
No,
Joel?
that's from The Last of Us. Joel Miller. No, absolutely not.
That is Pedro Pascal's character on The Last of Us. And last
good.
one, Miles Norris.
Can I get a spelling on Miles? Is that an I or a Y?
That is an I.
Norris. I feel like we
What
haven't
would
seen
have
many
been-
Norrises in the
They're
league.
not
in a
not
while.
an NBA guy.
I'm gonna
Miles
say no
with
as
an I.
well.
We're not making Miles with an I anymore.
Well, our producer Isaiah would know that he is indeed an NBA player. He played 12 minutes for the Celtics in a
Wow.
93-86 victory over the Charlotte Hornets.
So Miles Norris could be a champion in a matter of months, and then the joke is really going to be on us.
There you go. That's who we tanked for. Another rousing addition. All right.
I think it's a good bid for the record. Is who he tanked for correct in the phrasing of that question? I'm going to say no, but I appreciate the bid.
I didn't end up getting to Danny Glover's character from the Royal Tenenbaums. I have that one written down.
Wow.
too. Yeah. Or I was going to also do a LeBron James thing. Did LeBron James play in
That'd be cute.
Bronny James? There you go. All right. Since we're talking around Isaiah, why don't we bring him in because he's going to ultimately be our judge here for the first edition of the Chatties. Isaiah, how are you?
Excellent. Miles Norris was solid.
Thumbs up. At least one thumbs up, maybe
It's
not
okay.
two for Miles Norris.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, like, I don't know if he can hit a jump shot, but like, there's something there. He's all right.
All right. So what we're going to do here is we did our individual awards. We did our team awards. Now we're going to do our group chat awards. A lot of these are pretty self-referential, I'll be honest. But a lot of them are just kind of taking a snapshot of the season, kind of some of the foibles of this pod and of the season in totality. We have our nominees that we're going to bring to the table. Isaiah is then going to decide on the winner. And we have to start off with Waz's long-awaited first bit on the pod, I believe, potentially. The all hard hat team. Waz, you want to explain this for us?
So the hard hat team for me is basically I take the sort of stance of like this guy's the NBA version of a coal miner. Like he's willing to damn near die on the job, or risk poor health outcomes going forward in order to win. Like this dude will do anything to win. Just a hard hat, lunch pail, no excuses kind of guy. And so, yeah, that's there's guys that I watch like this and I'm like, you know what, man? You don't do any of the stuff, the step back threes that get you all the girls and the cheerleaders and all of that stuff, but you do stuff that makes your team win and it's unglamorous. And so I think these guys should be honored. I love a hard hat guy.
So you're just imagining PJ Tucker coming up with a miner's cough and a lunch pail.
That's right.
That's our guy.
PJ Tucker, PJ Brown, okay, like the classic Charles Oakley example, Dale Davis, like that kind of player. Dennis Rodman, realistically.
Sure.
Even though he had the crazy hair and was wearing women's wedding dresses on magazine covers, the guy would do anything to win.
The man
on
contains
the court.
multitudes.
Exactly.
Wore
And
wedding
so-
dresses, hard hat, without a doubt, like first ballot Hall of Famer. Also concierge ambassador to North Korea. Like you can do it all.
Renaissance man.
That's the goal.
And so that's
so not necess-
basically the spirit of the hard hat team.
So not necessarily violent, but tough.
No, see, that's the thing. Your willingness to beat guys up on the opposing team does not automatically qualify you for hard hat status.
So not back alley team. Hard hat team is a different flavor.
Hard hat they're tangentially related.
Sure.
Like you want pretty much all of these hard hat guys in a back alley. But it's not necessarily related to, this guy will whoop your ass in a street fight, a bare knuckle brawl, right? Like it's like what this guy will do on the court is that of, like I said, a coal miner, bro. Willing to go down in the mines to bring energy to the masses. Black lung be damned. And so that's what I want to honor here.
Well, so how do we want to do this? Because we've all done our first team, all hard hat team. Do we want to go player by player? Do we each want to talk through our 5 guys? What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's do 5 at once because we're running out of time here.
Okay.
So Waz, why don't we let Waz go first, if only
Please.
because this is.
Oh, this is. So first guy up is Jalen Suggs. I'm not Adam Silver, so I don't come up with stupid games played rules for my hard hat awards.
I hadn't considered that.
Jalen Suggs has missed a lot of games, but to me, this guy exemplifies the hard hat team. Like, this dude plays his ass off on both ends of the court. It's just hyper competitive. And I think he's like kind of the soul of that Magic team. When he's playing, they're just a different animal, in my opinion, especially once he's learned how to shoot, which isn't always a quality that hard hat guys possess. But whatever. Jalen Suggs, first team all hard hat. Lou Dort, another guy. Clearly, he's willing to put it all on the line every single night, go up against the best perimeter guy, diving for loose balls, crashing the boards. He's just the epitome of hard hat. Josh Hart, this dude will literally do a double shift on a moment's notice. Like, this guy does not need rest. He doesn't take days off, doesn't do vacation. He is
Work on a Saturday night.
bruh, hard hat. Hard hat. Like this pod. We exemplify hard hat on this pod. A surprise. To me, I surprised myself with this, but I think this guy is like a hard hat Hall of Famer, honestly, and that's Big Al Horford. Again, another guy who will literally do anything that it takes to win. And my last pick, I kind of cheated. I picked the Thompson twins. I just love the way these guys approach the game. These guys are no nonsense. They play at 100% every single game. Don't give a damn. Don't care about looking pretty. These guys are hard hat and, potential future all-star in the case of a men. But I just love these guys as the youngest, the newest entrant into the hard hat sort of, family. So I cheated with the last picks.
Okay. Those are some good ones. I had a few of those guys. I had Hart, and I also doubled up on the Thompson twins.
Wow.
Got to.
Look at you both
Got
cheating.
to.
So you guys have 6 players on your first team?
Yes.
I
This
think I had
is
seven,
this is the first Chatties
7?
of all time. You got
Justin,
7 guys.
Who
on
else
the
did
all
you
hard
smuggle in
hat.
there?
So I have Hart. I have the Thompson twins. Asar, honestly, coming around, by the way.
Yeah.
He's been really good.
Belated kind of boom, but can't wait to see what he is next year. I have Isaiah Hartenstein. Maybe I'm
Considered
just
him.
playing too much off of the hard Hart
I get it.
alliteration
I
there,
consider
but
him.
just tough as nails, just solid as a rock. I have him. I have Chris Dunn, who we talked about earlier. Just
Yep.
goddamn menace, just doing his job at the point of attack. And then I guess I may have misunderstood the definition. I should have had Waz lay it out for me. I do have 2 Pistons here. And frankly, I wanted to put the entire Pistons as one slot on my team. But I have the Isaiah Stewart-Ron Holland duo, who unfortunately
I like that. They're
Yeah.
hard hat guys. They are.
probably more violent than
Yeah.
tough. But, maybe they're all things.
They'll put hands on you, but they're
Yes.
hard hat guys for sure.
A violent
Stew
rim
was on
protector
the-
in Beef Stew's
Beef
case.
Stew was on the also considered for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I only have one of these players on my list. So that makes Josh Hart the only unanimous hard hat team
He's gotta be.
selection. Gotta
He's
be
got
there.
to be. Like,
Also, underrated part of the hard hat game, connecting passes and plays. Like, none of this flashy
Yeah.
pick and roll
Yeah.
shit. I'm just going to cut hard,
Yes.
catch, and
Yes.
redirect plays in
Yes.
the middle of everything.
Yes.
Shout out to Josh Hart. Also, second in total minutes, as we said. Double shift life for Josh Hart perpetually. Steven Adams,
yes.
rebounding
Was on my
monster.
short list. Yep.
Have not seen him jump this season. I don't know. I don't know how he does it, but he's boxing
He's
out
another.
like a motherfucker.
Like Al Horford, he's a hard hat legacy. Like, he's been hard hat since his rookie year. It's insane.
Completely. Justin, I'm surprised I'm not flanking you here. Tumani Kamara, definite hard hat guy.
Considered.
Also, circling back to something you said, was about like these aren't the best shooters in the world.
Yeah.
There's something about being a bad shooter that forces you
forces
to be
you
even
to hard
more of a
hat.
hard hat
Right.
guy. So Tumani Kamara is definitely one
Yeah,
of
it's
those.
almost like a lot. Like, if you are a construction worker or you are a coal miner, like, you probably can't engineer at Google, and so like it
well, not with that
forces
attitude, you can't.
into these more laborious tasks. So like it makes sense.
Sure.
Covers a ton of ground, plays lockdown defense every single night. Great hard hat guy, Tumani Kamara for the Blazers. Still unheralded somehow, despite how much we herald him on this podcast. Jared Vanderbilt might have the single
Considered
highest
him.
motor of any player in the league.
Considered him.
Perpetually on the move, doing shit all over
Yeah.
the floor. And my last guy, Daniel Gafford, who I feel like gets a raw
Gafford got considered too.
gets a raw deal in Dallas based on the fact that they are trying to play too big, and the fact that he's not Derek Lively, and the fact that he is
Plays his
frankly
ass off.
a hard hat guy.
He's a high motor big. Anytime a guy that size is willing to run hard, all of his minutes deserves consideration for hard hat.
Absolutely.
Sounds like if the whispers about him whispering to Luka after the game are to be noted, perhaps he won't be there that long. So, Isaiah, who amongst our nominees would you want on the final ballot for your first team all hard hat?
Yeah, so I pulled from each of you guys' lists. I will say it's pretty funny when you notice the non-shooters, like 4 guys who can shoot them. I like the 17 guys there was like 4 who can shoot. It's hilarious.
It is what it is.
And so Josh Hart, obviously, the unanimous pick. I think the Thompson twins, Steven Adams, Jalen Suggs, and maybe this is just bias. I couldn't pick between Isaiah Stewart and Al Horford.
Yeah, I get it. These guys are hard hat. Other guys that I considered, by the way, PJ Tucker, another legacy.
Of course.
Draymond Green is both a diva and a hard hat. It's kind of
true.
crazy.
Yeah.
GP2, DFS, TJ McConnell, Caruso. Yeah, those guys that I also considered.
How about Aaron Nesmith, Moussa Diabate, Mo Wagner, especially if he had played the full season? So many great hard hat guys in the league right now.
All right, since we're kind of following Waz's lead here, next one on the board, also Waz related. This is the best shout out, which of course Waz has all of them, so this is the best Waz shout out of the season. Rob, who do you have?
There is only one answer for this award, and it's Waz shouting out his State Farm agent in a bit that, I cannot believe is not SpawnCon, but it was just earnest enthusiasm that his State Farm agent sent him a birthday card.
That's right.
That's the clear winner here.
Shouts to Rita.
I will say, honorable mention, though, I do think goes to Tracy Letts, which wasn't so much a shout out, so much as a dragging, an unintentional dragging. Airing of the dirty laundry, perhaps. Yeah,
I was listening to the Mark Maron podcast. I'm an avid listener.
We do nothing but support Tracy Letts on this podcast. It's a pro Tracy Letts podcast.
I will say my personal favorite shout out moment didn't happen on this podcast, but I did shout out Chairman Mao on a podcast I did not too long ago.
All right,
and that's the most proudest I've been considering the trade wars that are currently happening. So.
Shout out to Trade Wars.
The People's Revolution. Let's go.
Next one on the board here. Sorry, Isaiah. I think that one kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, you're good.
Best moment or story of the season, and now we have to do the non-Luka division because I think Luka would probably be this and then a bunch of other of our awards. But Waz, who do you like as the best moment?
I mean, for best moment, I didn't pick a player or an instant. It was the Wolves-Nuggets double OT game the other night. And that might be recency bias, but just watching that in real time, felt like this is what regular season basketball should feel like more often. It just felt like fireworks watching that game, down to the most insane ending this season where Westbrook breaks a wide open layup, then proceeds to foul a guy at the 3-point line, at the buzzer. Just, chef's kiss. That was my, outside of the Luka stuff, where I felt like most alive watching NBA basketball this year, where I'm on my couch like I can't believe what I'm watching right now. Just excellent stuff.
It was also one of the few moments in this regular season where it felt like we were all together.
Yes.
Like a lot of the NBA world was locked in on that game, not just fans, but like people in the league, people in media. Everyone was watching the same thing, and it turned out to be a sensational game.
Yeah. What do you have, Rob?
I went a little niche with this one, and to me, this is one of those things that in the moment we talked about and felt cool. In retrospect, I think is going to feel important, capital I important, and that's the 2-week stretch where J-Dub played center for the Thunder. I think that was kind of the moment for me when the Thunder season went from, this is a great team that's going to be really, really good and really, really competitive, to there's something special happening here. It was like an encapsulation of so much that is Thunder basketball. It's like a really surprising, creative decision. It's guys playing outside their zones and thriving. It's obviously a testament to their defense that a guy like J-Dub can play center for them. Like, that they would even think about it, that they would execute it, and that it would feel like this cool calling card for their season. That's one of those things I'm going to be thinking about as we kind of return to the big landmark moments of what could be like a Thunder run and a Thunder coronation.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's definitely memorable. I have down Amen Thompson's game winner against the Boston Celtics, which I
Pretty
imagine Isaiah won't be quite fond
I don't
of.
think that was gonna win. I don't think that's winning.
Similar circumstances as the Nugs-Wolves game, where it's like you caught up to it in the second half. You're like, what's going on here? Amen Thompson is like going off. Like we had just been talking about him as this defensive menace who has all this potential. Then it's like, oh shit, this guy has 30-9 and 4, and like he's about to take down the Celtics amidst like this awesome run that they're on, and they're always on an awesome run. And then obviously the step back game winner. The type of moment I think if he does pop in the way that we're expecting, we're going to go back to that as like almost like the genesis of his rise. So I think that's a good one for not just this season, but just maybe in the next couple seasons.
Totally.
Isaiah, what do you have?
Yeah, that Amen moment is awesome, but it's just not gonna
yet.
win. I think Wolves Nugs is the winner. It's just an unbelievable game, and like it just had to be Russ. It just
Had to be Russ.
It
And
had to be Russ.
Listen, the way Jokic and Ant playing like, especially Ant in the fourth quarter and OT, where it's like they're being the best versions of themselves, which are just like out of this world talents. And then, it gets decided by Alexander Walker and Russell Westbrook. It's just perfect. It's just excellent.
All right, next one I have down here, the No Wrong Takes Award. And so I initially drew this up under this sort of description for the time JV was right but wasn't given any credit because the world is unjust and cruel. I decided to go a different path, though. And so this is more for our own best and worst takes of the season.
I did not get the brief that it was our own. And so I did give the best take of the season to JV, of all people.
Okay.
I got to say,
all people.
the Lakers and Clippers, they're in the mix.
Yeah,
We-
they're in
we-
the mix.
They're in the mix.
They are in the mix.
This was a Justin take. I want to say like December. I think it was when we were tearing out the NBA and we were trying to figure out what to make of these two teams. They were doing relatively well. We're there by the standings, but maybe in terms of the big picture metrics, the point differentials and whatnot, we were still trying to figure out what to make of these teams. I was skeptical that the Lakers and Clippers would be there at the end of the year. And here we are, both of them not just rock solid playoff teams, but among the best, like, why not the Lakers? Why not the Clippers stories as far as who could get to the conference finals in the West? So I gotta salute you, Justin. You were right that they were in the mix.
super
have
right
that
about that LA
At
mix.
the top of my list, Clippers plus Lakers equals in the mix, 2 exclamation points. Number 1 on my board. I also brought, let's see here, about 5 or 6 more of my correct
Yeah,
takes.
he brought a
Yeah,
bunch.
of
He brought a
course.
bunch.
Well, here's the thing. Do I get credit for the Spurs because they ultimately finished outside the play?
You get credit for the Spurs.
Wait,
for
do
sure.
you get credit? He was objectively wrong.
They
But they-
finished outside of the play-in, but this is a freak injury to their best player. Like
He also said they were going to be better than the Rockets.
that was flagrantly wrong.
I was gonna say it's credit, but you don't win the bet. kind of
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Focus on
credit.
the take, not necessarily the texture and all the spice put on top of it. You know?
Okay, all right.
But I do have to own up on that bet at some point. We need to figure
Yeah.
out. I believe I need to wear a beret. Is that what we ended up with?
Something.
Something.
Maybe
like
just
Chicken
the full
nuggets.
Spurs Coyote costume.
Chicken nuggets mailbag question. How many nuggets can you eat in an hour?
that. Hawks Bulls being fun and spunky. Pretty right about that. Josh Giddey back and better than ever. Fuck
Sure.
off, y'all.
God.
The Jazz being particularly awful, which I don't know if I was out in front on that
Yeah,
one, but
sure.
I think I clocked that one early. The Wolves also being roughly about what they were last year. Took some heat on that one. I feel like I came out on top on that. Those are the ones for now. I can come up with 10 more. I don't have
He
any
can come
wrong
up with
takes.
10 more, he said.
Yeah, I don't have any of my worst takes because I didn't have any bad takes.
Oh,
Pretty
wow.
bad takes. I think my worst take was definitely that the Knicks would be contenders or be Boston's biggest problem in the Eastern Conference. That's just so clearly not the truth. I thought they would be what Cleveland has ended up being this year.
Yeah.
Which is I still think Boston will beat them, but this team is tough and actually good. Whereas the Knicks are good, but not tough at all. They're just not going to be a problem, and completely got that wrong. And I think what I got right was just the Jimmy thing just working perfectly in Golden State in terms of his fit. I just knew he was just going to go in there and fit like a glove, which he has, and it's been incredible the impact that he's had on the team's offense and defense, quite frankly. And so I think that was my best take.
I think collectively our worst take, and we discussed this on the Cavs Team of the Season pod, ranking the Cavs 13th in our preseason power rankings. Not great. Also in those preseason power rankings, we had the Rockets at 21, Clippers at 19, Pelicans at 17, Suns at 10, Sixers at 7.
Tough.
There were some real whiffs in there, I gotta say.
I did call the Pelicans though. I was way lower on the Pelicans.
You did, and
Justin, but you're always low on the Pelicans.
It's
though.
true. But we should have known. Never trust the Pelicans, and we talked ourselves into it yet again.
And I guess, can we talk about the Pelicans again?
Yeah, let's do it, because as we were recording this, the news came down from Shams Charania that Joe Dumars, Louisiana legend, is at least in line to be the next GM of that team. The official verbiage was expected to engage in conversations to finalize a deal by the end of the week.
Okay.
So you can
Let me ask y'all something. Like, as an ownership group over there, like, do you not look at, I don't know, like, the teams, the organizations that get respect, like the Thunder or, or the Heat or the Spurs or whatever, like the organizations that everybody Boston, like, that people point to, like, yo, these guys are hyper competent. Like, what example from those organizations are the Pelicans pulling from?
Here's what's happening here. Because when I was a beat writer, 2016, 2017, the rumors you had heard all the time was that if they were going to fire Dell Demps, it was going to be for Joe Dumars, for no other reason than that he has ties to ownership because he's around New Orleans. He's a Louisiana guy, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
And so there was no clear reason based on his track record. Obviously, he had a long run with Detroit, did a lot of good things. It flamed out pretty spectacularly.
Yes.
And then there was like all sorts of things. He was leaking memos to Woj. He got caught doing that. He's now in the NBA front office. So maybe like the stench of some of those things has worn off, but I read this more as the Pelicans did it the way the league wanted to, what other people wanted to, in order to go get David Griffin. They hired a consulting firm. They did it based on the opinions of others. I wouldn't be surprised if this was Gail Benson, Miss Gail, saying, not only was Tom close with Joe, we're going to do this more from a Louisiana perspective. We're going to go get the guy that we always kind of wanted in this job and doing it that way. So in conclusion, it's more of the bad stuff than any sort of turning of the page.
It's always the bad stuff with the Pelicans.
You know what I will say, though? There's something to the idea that Griff was definitely the smart man's pick to take this job, right? The idea that it got universal media approval. And, like, all of the fancy pants, smarty pants media people like, yeah, he's, like, analytically inclined and blah, 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 and David Griffin or whatever. And they did that. And, it you got to admit, it hasn't worked. So I can understand, especially with, like, super rich people being like, I listen to you bozos. Now I'm going to follow my gut because my gut has gotten me $1 billion. So I get it.
Again, everything's always gone well for the Pelicans. Like, following their gut when they've done that, it's gone extraordinarily well.
Yep. All right, Isaiah, do you have a winner for the no wrong take? Okay, good.
I want to give one more honorable mention on a take, and I need a ruling if it's a good take or a bad take, which is Waz's white Americans need to do more. In basketball terms, I agree. In worldly terms, are we sure?
It's just a true term when it comes to basketball specifically. We need our white brothers and sisters. You guys are still the majority of the country. We need you guys' involvement in the game. That's all.
Here.
You might have inspired the wrong crowd, but that's not our fault. You know what I mean? That's not our problem. Worst take is by far the Cavs one. I just think we have to.
Bad.
Yeah, we just
We missed it.
Yeah,
we should also say they were probably the team or the story of the season as well, but we dedicated a whole podcast to them already.
Correct. Yeah. Best take. JV, they're in the mix, man. They're in the mix.
That's right.
They're in the mix.
In the mix, baby.
They're in the mix.
Never count out those scrappy underdogs in LA, baby.
The mix.
All right, next one on the board here. The Bronny James Memorial Dumbest Discourse Award for the thing that we actually spent time on. I mentioned this before and fairly recently, but I can't believe we spent months and at least one full podcast talking about the sagging ratings and all this other stuff. Because now that I'm on my phone a lot, I'm just like, my brain is just so completely fucked irrevocably in a way that I will never get back. I cannot even pay attention for more than 10 minutes on whatever show that I'm watching. I love what I'm watching. I'm very plugged into it. I listen to podcasts about it afterward. I can't even focus on that because we're all just addled by our devices. And at no time did we stop and say like, hey, you know what? Actually, our brain chemistry is completely damaged to the point where we just can't engage with certain things like we used to. But no, it's definitely the 3-pointers. It's 100% too many 3-pointers. We're taking like 5 3-pointers a game more, but it's definitely that.
First of all, you sell yourself short, Justin. I thought you gave a very comprehensive review and explanation of what is going on in Love is Blind, so you're locked in.
Thank you.
You're paying attention to something. But I agree with you. We are broken as people. We cannot concentrate on anything. That said, can you not throw on an NBA game in the background and also be on your phone? Like, why not both?
All I'm hearing is that we need to combine Justin's interest and do a dating show about Anthony Edwards' love life.
No, we do not. Nope. No,
That's what we need to do. That's all I'm hearing. Just combine the two. The ratings would be through the roof, y'all.
The censors would never let it go, but
yeah, there is not a network in existence that can carry that level of liability.
What was that like red band on YouTube? Maybe we have to get some like special sort of affordances there.
For me, the dumbest discourse was the Ja celebrations. Like that was just absurd. Like some of the hand wringing and we're just asking you to stop with the. It's like, guys, it was finger guns. And I'm sorry, like his whole thing the next game of doing grenades and doing the shotgun, like I kind of felt him like this is absurd. I thought the suspension last year was crazy heavy-handed. I thought the union erred in their allowing of the league to do this crazy-ass suspension from what happened last year. And, like, the whole, like, oh, Ja, you're supposed to know better. You're using your fingers to make a... Like, bruh, that was insane, dude. Absurd.
I just can't believe we lived long enough for finger guns to come back into the NBA discourse. Like I genuinely feel 1,000,000 years old, and certainly like I've aged 1,000,000 years since the Gilbert Arenas part of that discussion.
Shouts to the OG Gilbert Arenas, man.
We're just straight back where we started, and it's a remarkable thing. But you guys are missing the obvious one, which is to loop back Bronny James into this conversation. The Stephen A. versus LeBron featuring Pat McAfee and Brian Windhorst.
Oh, my God.
It just doesn't get any worse than that.
Yeah.
That's just as dumb as NBA conversation can possibly get.
Well, he's going to be our next president, and so I don't want to get on his bad side by having the documented proof that we weren't aligned with him.
Can't wait till he calls group chat up to the Oval Office.
On a weekday, I hope.
That's right. I'm gonna hold my folder in front of my face to stop the photo op as it's happening.
That's right. I love the Ja moment. What an epic fucking troll he is. I want him to just go through the whole like Call of Duty war chest of options there. I want him to throw out like a spike strip at one point. Like, Isaiah, what do we got?
I think it's tight between the ratings talk and the Stephen A. LeBron thing. I think the Stephen A. LeBron thing, just because the ratings episode I thought was a good conversation, even though ratings talk in itself is stupid, I still thought we had a good episode. So I'd say the LeBron Stephen A. thing is like probably the dumbest thing all season, honestly.
So bad.
That was bad. 2 more here. This one in honor of Rob. And one of our favorite players, question mark? The Malevvy Leons Award.
Okay, Malevvy Leons. Malevvy Leons.
Okay. Malevvy Leons.
There we
Who
go.
was a bench player. Was he an official bench player for the Thunder earlier this season? Did he even make it to that point?
He was on the roster preseason. I believe he was one of the last cuts, so he got filtered straight to the OKC Blue situation, where I will tell you he nearly averaged a double-double for the Blue this year. Dutch Poku lives. The dream is alive. But no, he is not technically a member of the NBA right now.
Okay. I sent videos
Oklahoma
of this guy
City
warming
Blue.
up. Yeah. Earlier in the season. So he does exist, but unfortunately not in the NBA proper. But in order to honor him, we're going to give an award for our favorite deep cut player. And And Rob, I think you have the floor in order to nominate yours.
I think there's only one pick, and it's Jonathan Mobo of the Toronto Raptors.
Yes.
Who, honestly, he may have transcended the level of true deep cut because he's now just playing real minutes for the Raptors. If you missed our expansion draft episode, Kyle Mann selecting Jonathan Mobo way too high in the expansion draft has just become a seminal group chat moment for me, to the point that, as Kyle informed us, a stranger came up to him and his family in public and without any other acknowledgement or words just said, Jonathan Mobo, and walked off.
and offered a dap, I believe.
Oh, sorry, he also dapped him up.
God.
Which should be like how we greet each other. It's just
Mobo.
Straight Mobos from now on. But also we should say, since that recording, Jonathan Mobo has had a triple-double, has had another near triple-double, and as far as I'm concerned, proven he can actually score some points at an NBA level, which was my big question mark.
In March and April, he's proven that. We're not going to let Cal Man do a victory lap just yet. But
Not yet. But not
it's
for
better
nothing.
than we thought.
Absolutely.
Not until he's starting for the Seattle Supersonics, that is.
No. Am I still more of a shed guy? I am. But I have to tip my cap to Jonathan Mobo.
Okay. Waz, did you have anything for this?
Jalen Clark if only
one.
because he's like the 90th Jalen in the history of the NBA and like got like a decent amount of minutes this year, especially when guys like DiVincenzo went down and they needed some help in the backcourt and was like decent, like okay, for a guy that like literally I had never heard of before, maybe 2 months ago. And so yeah, that was definitely my pick because he was like played out of nowhere and was like okay.
It's a good one. I have one. We almost had a Trailblazer of the Year award in honor of my constant bringing them up. They're basically
Next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hometown
they're basically
team,
the shadow
home cooking.
And so I picked a Blazer for this. I don't know if we necessarily even talked about him at any point, but I have down City Sissoko as just a great Blazer and a great deep cut player. Might not be an NBA player by the time you hear
Let me
this.
stop you. He's not in spirit an NBA player. I
He's
don't
a
mean to be
giant
mean,
athlete,
but
though.
he's not it. City Sissoko does not have it.
Giant athlete. Played a ton of minutes against the Lakers D team yesterday. So that's my nominee.
It's a good deep cut for sure. I will also say, as far as honorable mentions go, I would say that group chat talked more about AJ Mitchell than any non-Thunder affiliated podcast in the history of the world. So
That's right. He's good.
shout out to AJ Mitchell, who has to be in consideration for this category.
That's a good one. Isaiah, who wins it?
I just want to say this award was almost named our legacy guy, Vasily Micic. There's no pod in the world that talks about that guy more than we do. So, but the winner has to be Mugbo. I mean, just for a moment in time.
Mugbo.
Good for him playing decent ball now, but Jesus, it was
That was
crazy.
crazy.
At the time. It's crazy.
All right, last one here. It is the group chat player of the year. This is what you all have been waiting for. I kind of think there's only one nominee.
Really? Well, so
I
first of all,
think it's a tough category.
how did you interpret the award, Justin?
Just like our favorite player, the one that we all talked about a ton. Good, but not necessarily the best. Just the one that represents us.
Yes,
The
the most group chat player.
So for me, I looked at it a little bit differently. I picked Evan Mobley because Rob came out the gates hot, crowned his ass, basically out the womb. We ridiculed him mercilessly for it. And then the guy came out and actually lived up to Rob's premature crowning.
There you go.
Well,
you know-
premature. You just said I was right. Was
No,
it premature if I'm
no,
right?
Rob, stop it. 2 years ago, you was not right. But goddamn, are you right now? And so that's why, he's on our team of the year. He's he's constantly come up, basically, since we started doing this show, about, what he is in the moment, who he could potentially be, what he's shown, what he needs to do more of, blah, just constantly, analyzing and nitpicking this guy's game. And for him to have put together, this type of season where you could say he could get a fifth MVP vote if you really wanted to, right? Fifth place, of course. And so that's why I picked him.
He was on
Didn't
my short list
technically-
as well.
Didn't technically qualify for the No Takes award. Probably would have been up there, but as Waz mentioned, it was a take from 2 years ago. So
Yeah, my track record of successful takes is long.
you're playing the long game.
Yeah. Y'all are out here day trading. I'm forecasting years into the future.
Right.
That's
Right.
Who did you have, Rob?
I picked the guy who I can't remember the last time we all came together in perfect harmony to praise someone like Jalen Johnson. He just became he so much became one of our collective guys, and we were invested in his continued success this season before his injury, which was so deflating to group chat most of all. But Jalen Johnson gotta be in the mix here for group chat player of the year.
He's the kind of player that every one of us can appreciate, like with the athleticism and the skills and the fucking motor, like definitely.
I think we're overlooking the most obvious candidate here.
Do not say
Which
Josh
is-
Giddey, for the love of God.
I wish. God. Amen Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking
he was
about
my
a guy we all
second pick.
rallied around.
He was my second pick, for sure.
My only
We did it
question
in
about Amen
person?
Thompson, has he escaped containment?
Yeah,
is he
he's
too big for
everybody.
everybody?
Everybody's glazing Amen Thompson these days.
It's
It's
true.
no longer hipster to do it, so.
He's like Kramer when he like baked himself on the roof and because he was like tanning with butter or something like that.
But it's in a jacuzzi, doesn't he? Doesn't he like
That's
put
a different
the hot?
time.
That's a different time.
Yeah,
Oh
the
my
power
God.
goes out and he gets cold that time. This is
Oh,
when he
you're
bakes
right.
on
You're
the
right.
roof with
My
butter.
apologies to Cosmo Kramer. But yeah, I think
I
Amen's,
feel like we were
Amen's a
early.
great choice.
I think we were not only early. We did the whole Las Vegas pod. We saw him live. We talked about him at length.
That
You're
was
right,
a
the
revelation for
competition's-
me, seeing him in person, for sure.
Isaiah, final verdict.
Yeah, I feel like Evan Mobley would have been the winner last year. I think would have probably been the right time. Maybe we should do an all group chat first team next year or something like that. All these guys are involved. 'Cause Jalen Johnson's great, but I think it does have to be Amen Thompson. I remember I watched some like overtime elite stuff and was like, yeah, guys, there's one draft prospect. Like this guy's pretty nuts. So yeah, I feel like we were early on him. So I think that's
Can you
our guy.
imagine if he got drafted by the Blazers over Scoot, and he was not only our guy but the Blazers guy?
Oh my God, it'd be too much to handle.
Would
Yeah,
you
we-
even be in Portland? Because the real estate would be so expensive.
I think I would be in his house at that point because we would be living together.
The first ever Chatties in the books. And shouts to all the groupies out there, man. We appreciate you guys hitting the email that only Rob reads,
I do read it.
hitting us on Twitter and Instagram and all of that stuff. Shouts to all the groupies out there, man.
We also missed the first definitive all hard hat pick, which is clearly Isaiah Blakely, who is piecing together
Facts.
all of our bullshit pods.
Facts.
Isaiah, thank you so much for
Big
your hard hat
facts.
work.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you to Isaiah. Thank you to Ben Cruz also
Yeah,
on,
shout out,
Ben.
on most of them. We'll be back on Wednesday. A little schedule change there. So we'll be recording at night on Wednesday. So if you want to get that play-in action, Wednesday late night PT will probably be up for you. But obviously on Thursday we'll be there as we typically are. We'll do that. A little variables action as Rob teased. So we will catch you next time, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever you get to it. We'll see you then. Must be 21 plus and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino or 18 plus and present in DC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.